Good evening. Welcome to the Jon Gaunt Show. Nigel Farage versus Starmer. The gloves have come off. Who are you backing? This is a fight for the soul of this country. And I believe that today Starmer has blown it completely. Watch this and see whether you agree with me. Right then, the gloves are off, as I say, in the fight to lead our great nation, the United Kingdom, Britain. Keir Starmer's Labour conference speech tore into Reform UK, and especially Nigel Farage. Only mentioned him 8 times, but the fallout has been explosive. Did you see any bits of it? Did you see it all? Did you see it on the news? They gave everyone a flag to wave. They were flag waving. The very people whose own council in Derby was pulling down the Patriots flags today. They're a bunch of stinking, effing hypocrites. Do you agree with me? And of course, ministers have been hurling insults all week at Nigel Farage. And then today, David Lammy went absolutely nuclear after Starmer's speech. He said Farage was a Nazi in his youth, which is complete and utter cobblers. I hope that Farage sues his big fat lardy ass off. And also, this has got to be stopped. This is all going a bit too far. I mean, after Charlie Kirk being assassinated, David Amos, of course, and Joe Cox, they've got to tone down the rhetoric, haven't they? But they're desperate. Today's speech was the speech of a drowning man. Parts of it were quite good. Parts of it I agree with. I think this idea of scrapping the Tony Blair 50% of all kids should go to university, not a bad idea. And if they do the apprenticeships right, that's not a bad idea. And basically elevating trades and craft skills within the general consensus of opinion, that's a good idea. However, the rest of it was pretty shitty. And when he started the direct attacks on Farage, basically by copying Farage's technique, one of the lines he came out with was this. Think about it. When was the last time you heard Nigel Farage say anything positive about living in Britain? Well, loads of times. When have you said anything positive? The only thing you ever say is you call the majority population far-right thugs. Do you remember Southport? Do you remember the way you've been behaving recently? When the flag started going up and when the migrant hotel protest happened, you were implying these people were all far-right, which is, of course, the new insult. But they weren't, were they? They were just ordinary mothers, daughters, sisters, worried about their kids. And today, another person, another illegal immigrant in that hotel, the Bell Hotel in Epping, has had a sentence put down on him. Let me just read this out to you from the BBC's own website. A migrant who travelled to the UK by small boat and later attacked asylum hotel staff, that was nice of him, has been jailed for 16 weeks. Mohammed Sawak, 32, assaulted a cleaner, a head chef, and 2 residents at the Bell Hotel in, altogether now, Epping in Essex on the 12th of August. The 32-year-old's barrister said he was suffering a mental breakdown at the time, and he now wanted to go back to Syria. Bye. Chocks away. I bet he does, because he's probably hoping to pick up $2,000 or $3,000 like those Romanians. He was sentenced at Chelmsford Magistrate Court after admitting the series of assaults. Another one. We had the other one who's awaiting sentencing, and it's clearly going to get sent down and deported. Well, he got 12 months, didn't he? Then we've got the Nuneaton case. Nothing happened yet. We've got to wait and see, so we mustn't say too much. But Starmer has the cheek to stand there today in his conference speech and basically hardly mentioned the migrants. He said, oh, we must stop the small boats. He didn't say how he was going to do it, just like that useless new Home Secretary yesterday. She hasn't said how she's going to do it. And then if you did, you may not have watched the whole speech, but he started off with this Liverpudlian mum who lost her son, part of the Hillsborough situation. And he has done this Hillsborough law whereby people will be held to account in the future, because you know that old thing about public inquiries, it must never happen again and all that. There could be bringing criminal cases against these people. And I agree with all that. I agree with that. And it's a good thing he's done. But he got her on stage first and he used and abused her because she talked up Starmer as if he was Jesus bloody Christ. Then she introduced him. He came on, gave her the big hug. Pity you didn't give the Southport women who called you a wanker a hug. You could have maybe stopped the riots. Maybe you could have spoken about that. And here's another one, Sir Keir. How come you're so concerned about Hillsborough, which is right and correct? Why aren't you bothered about the victims of the grooming gangs? Why did we have to drag you kicking and screaming to have a public inquiry into that? You didn't want it, nor did your Labour councils. Oh, and of course, we still haven't got a date for it, have we? And then you have the temerity to say Britain is not broken. If you didn't see this, but it's another thing he said. Britain is not broken. You've got to either come with me to revive, to renew Britain, or go with Farage, who's all negative. Complete and utter lies. Nigel Farage and Reform, even if you don't totally agree with them, they've got a positive attitude. And then he said things like, Farage doesn't actually like Britain. He doesn't like England. Where the hell does he get that from? It was incredible. And then as it went on, the rhetoric got worse and worse. And if you haven't seen it yet, I mean, I don't mind, even if you want to put the news on now. They handed out flags, loads of them, before the speech. I knew what was coming. And then they all started waving their flags. There was the flag of St. George. There was the Union flag. There was the Scottish flag, the Welsh flag. And all these, as I called them yesterday, performing seals in the audience started waving them. But do you know what actually made it not work? And made me realise, and no doubt you as well, that this was all false. They're not patriotic. Because he kept saying, in amongst the cheering and stuff, keep waving the flags. It was all tits and tinsel. As my dad used to say, they were selling you the sizzle. What we need is the sausage. Oh, careful, Keir Starmer. I know you've had a few problems with the sausage, but that's what you were doing. It was pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. But I will give you something. It's the most animated I've ever seen you. You did give a good speech in terms of the way you projected it, but it was clearly massively rehearsed. I made a joke this morning on Twitter because he put up some pictures of himself and his wife, and he said, here I am, final preparations for my speech. And I basically said, how long does it prepare to say, I've failed, I resign, right? Taking the mickey out of him. But obviously he did have to prepare because it was choreographed like a hot gossip routine on steroids, although they were much more attractive to watch. And again, went on and on. We're going to build a Britain for all. But he forgot the last few words of that sentence. It should have been, we're going to build a Britain for all of the world, because that's what we are doing. We've got a national health service that's turned into a world health service. We've got people coming in left, right and centre, having their taxes paid if they want to go to the doctors, even if the doctors is 200 miles away. We simply can't afford it. And he said, oh, yeah, I'm going to close the migrant hotels. I'm going to stop the boats. But he didn't say how. But that didn't matter. The seals in the audience started waving their flags. It was a despicable display in the end. As I say, a couple of things were quite good. But going onto the turf and trying to out Farage, may I humbly suggest here, Starmer, was a ridiculous idea. This is Jon Gaunt Live. I'm diving straight into the biggest political fight, and it's a fist fight of the year. Shouldn't use the word fist. It's Farage in versus Starmer. Stop it, John. The Labour conference speech has lit a firestorm, with Keir Starmer waving the flag like never before, and David Lammy joining in, the Jaffa Cake King branding Nigel Farage a member of the Hitler Youth. It didn't even add up, the stupid accusation. This is the man who was Foreign Secretary until a few weeks ago, but he has got a record of this, of course. He is the man who basically said Donald Trump was in the KKK. How has this bloke got to now be Deputy Prime Minister, second in charge of the country? I mean, I know he's taken over from Fagash Lil, but my God, is this the best they can do? So, the gloves are off. It's a fist fight. The insults are flying. I would say maybe slander and libel as well. And in a world where even Charlie Kirk has been assassinated, the stakes couldn't be higher. Have they forgotten Joe Cox? Have they forgotten David Amos, slaughtered with a sword in his own constituency office? And I'm telling you now, ladies and gents, you've got to decide. The gloves are off. Who wins this battle? Whose side are you on? Put your thoughts in the chat below if you can, please. But we can't hang about. This is a massive, massive story. I'm disgusted with Starmer. I watched the speech and I was effing and blinding what was going on. And then at the end of it, when all the flag waving happened, and then when Lammy did what he did, I was absolutely disgusted. Because if Nigel Farage had done that, they would have had him crucified, wouldn't they? Absolutely crucified. How can you support Hillsborough and the Hillsborough victims and their families, but not the grooming gangs? What's this nonsense about building a Britain for the whole world? What's this idea that Farage is anti-British? That's what he said. He said he's anti-British and that he talks the country down. And then he said, and Britain isn't broken. And he pointed to a few kids in the audience who admittedly were doing good things. Jack all to do with you, Starmer. He doesn't accept that Britain is broken. Look, you can say Britain is broken, but still be passionate about the country, still believe in the country, still believe in the people. But what he was doing today is the same as what he's done when he called Farage far right and a danger and a fascist. I've forgotten who said what. They've all been saying it. Yvette Cooper had a pop, didn't she, the other day? And was somehow meant to believe that this bunch of seals in the audience are now more patriotic than basically Reform or Brexit Party or UKIP as it was before. I remember when they used to take the mickey out of UKIP for having the Union flag in their literature. I remember when there's nothing like a dame, that fat bird basically slagged off our fans when they had the flag of St. George. You're not going to fall for this, are you? And I think as well, Nigel Farage, he did a press conference straight afterwards. I think he was perfectly justified in it. And he said this was dangerous, what Starmer's doing. And he also said, I used to respect him, but not now. Now it's a fight to the metaphorical death. I'm telling you, it was also brilliant. He was acting like a recruitment sergeant for Reform. And I think today he basically anointed Nigel Farage as our next leader. I can't see how Starmer comes back from this, but maybe I've got it wrong. And at the end, they interviewed Ed Miliband, and the guy on GB News, basically Christopher Hope, said to him, "Oh, all those flags, are you now a patriotic party?" And what's his name? Bernie Winters, Ed Miliband said, we have always been a patriotic party. No. Starmer had to tell you when to wave the flags. No mention of the Bell Hotel. No mention of the people who've been locked up. There was a quick mention about free speech. And then, of course, he had to link it again. If you attack a Chinese takeaway, that is racism and you should go to prison. Well, everybody would agree with you on that. He also talked about the Tommy or Robinson demo as if thousands had got arrested. 28 got arrested, but he's tarred you all as far right, fascists. Now it'll be Nazis. It's quite clear what is going on. And the best joke of his whole speech, Britain isn't broken. And if you dare to say that, you're talking down the country. What do you think? Get on the comments now and let's have your opinion. Elric plays games. He says, how messed up is this country? It's messed up and Starmer didn't fix anything today. He actually just called most of us racist. And then he puts another note up, which this is a good point because I put this in my notes, but I just forgot to say it just now. It's also interesting. He didn't mention the digital ID cards once. Did he, John? No, he didn't. That has disappeared because he knows it won't work. Elric, you've had enough now. You've had loads. I'm moving on to other people. Johnny Roberts says, hi, John. Hi, I'm here. What do you want to say? I think Starmer and Lammy have lost the plot. They've upset every decent person in this country, and it's going to come back to bite them in May next year in the local elections. I think it might come before then myself. But yeah, he's going to get slaughtered in those elections. But the question is, will he have wrecked the country by then? That's what I want to talk to you about. Mark Haskell on Twitter, on with the comments I put on there, he says, funny how a month ago, everyone who flew the flag was a storming racist. Now the prat is flying the flag, thinking the country hasn't sussed him out. Absolutely correct. The whole thing is a complete and utter joke. I was just reading that one off my phone. All right, let's move on. Let's take some more comments. Put them at the bottom. Farage will win hopefully soon. Well, he can't win till there's an election. That's the problem, Private Yosi. B32. Starmer, says Johnny Roberts, today dragged Labour into the gutter, but Lammy dragged their party further down into the sewer. It was shameful politics. I can't argue with that, Johnny. That is a brilliant point. Keep putting your comments up. We're coming to them in a moment. Did he inspire? That's the thing. He was more animated. He was more inspiring, but it was all lies. Britain isn't broken. He's a joker. He's a complete joker. And we want to make a Britain for all the fucking world. That's what he means. Where was the ID card thing? You're right. Whoever just mentioned that a moment ago. Where was how I'm going to stop the boats? He's never going to be popular until he comes up with the idea, which I've told you a million times. Army on the beach, Navy in the Channel, rip up the ECHR, have our own Bill of Rights, put everybody who's in a hotel at the moment into an army camp behind a wire fence where they can't go out in the daytime. Give them the opportunity to go home. If you don't know where they come from because they got rid of their passports, send them to Estonia and we'll do it there. We'll process them there very slowly so that they get the message. Oh, and did you watch Panorama? I finished my show last night, came down, watched EastEnders, came back into the room and the mother-in-law had Panorama on. It was complete propaganda. And it's only just come to me now. Obviously, the BBC put that on last night. It was all about asylum seekers. And they all had a terribly tragic story. And the guy who did the report was an Asian Brit. And a couple of idiots obviously racially abused him. And it was wrong. But then it became about him. And by implication, again, the BBC was saying anybody who's against this mass migration, which has been forced upon us without any conversation, is a racist. It was just rubbish. But it was obviously put on because he was doing his speech today. They're in bed with each other. Kim Thomas, a barrister, has reported Starmer and Lammy to Merseyside police for inciting political violence. Yeah, well, I can understand why they would do that, Kim, but it's nonsense. It's just none of this should be happening. None of it. But I just think Farage has taken enough stick. He's obviously had enough. So he's come back and he said, I ain't having any more. What's your views on it? Please let me know. Oh, and by the way, if you'd like to donate, today is final cutoff day for Buy Me a Coffee for this week. And I've done quite well, but I need a few more. So if you can help me out, go to www.buymeacoffee.now. No, not now. buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt and donate anything from $5 upwards. Or alternatively, do it here on the YouTube. Just click that $sign and donate whatever you want. Remember, without your money, I can't do this. The adverts money is coming in, but it's a trickle. I need your support. And I tell you what, I think I've worked my guts off recently. And if you don't think this is worth a $5 or a few quid, then I don't know what I can do. I don't know what I can do. I really don't. Warwick Mill, he should finish off the projects he started instead of adding more to the pot. I disagree on universities. It's a con and an albatross around our kids with the cost for all their lives. Well, that's why you should agree with him then. His idea is good. Let's have proper apprenticeships as well. And let's not make kids who don't go to uni feel inferior. There's no need. It was a Tony Blair idea. We should have access, of course. But then I think kids should get a grant. I think it was about right when it was about $3,000 a year for the fees. They should pay something towards it. But it's ludicrous, the amount of money it is now. Roseth says Starmer is a wimp. I can't argue with that. So in a fist fight, you think Farage would win, do you? It's ludicrous. And why does he want to upset? Is he just doing it to trigger us? Is he doing it so that people then react in a violent fashion, which I don't want, by the way? But is that what it is? I can't get my head around it. The Labour Party front row looked like they hated waving the St. George's flag and the Union flag, smiling through gritted teeth, because they know as a party they have alienated the British public. Seaside Mark on YouTube. I think that is probably right. Elric, you make a good point, so I'm going to let you have this one. He says the new Home Secretary holds up 3 Palestine banners. She did. You are correct. And they asked her what she thought of the speech afterwards, and she was just nonsense. That's the only job I've got. I'm going to stop the boats. Just look across the road, love, at Yvette Cooper and what she achieved. Sweet F.A. And while this speech was happening and they were all waving their flags, I don't want to piss on his parade, but another 400 illegal criminals, migrants, arrived at Dover. That's not an exaggeration. Check it. That's a fact. Another 400 came in today. That's on top of the 1,200 that came in over the weekend. What is your view on all of this? And also, if he did convince you, I would like to hear from a few people who say, well, actually, John, maybe he's beginning to get it. I don't think he is, but maybe you do. Craig Marson, John, I totally agree with you. All that has happened since Starmer, on you with everything about Starmer since he's been in number 10. Ireland is offering up to €10,000 to refugees. They are not refugees. They are economic migrants, the most of them, to leave. How many will come over here for another payday, says Mick in Frinton Sea. It's not a bad point, Mick. Thank you for it, indeed. Have you heard any rumblings about plane loads getting flown into Manchester, John, says Craig Urquhart. No. Are they the Afghans? I thought they were coming into Stansted. I know they're going back on holiday. They're having 2 weeks in Kabul. You couldn't make this up. In Kabul, they go back to the country that they fled from, and then they're back again. We are just being taken for complete mugs. It's a bit like I was telling you about the minimum, not the minimum wage, working in the black economy. I bet Starmer's never employed anybody on a foreigner. I bet he's never done one himself, if you follow. Well, that's a different story. And when I'm foreigner, I mean doing a foreigner. I mean, getting someone to do something for nothing, for cheaper. I So I don't think he understands. I think he's just naive, perhaps. I got myself into right trouble there, so be very careful. Lammy said Farage was in or associated with the Hitler Youth, says Janice Hodson. That's what he did say, yeah. Yeah. He said he flirted with the Hitler Youth. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. I think there is a story that's been around for years that when he was at his public school, he was, as a youth, he was involved in the BNP or one of those things, but not like on a major scale. It's just, don't we all do things that we shouldn't do when we? I just think it's nonsense. But I think Lammy has really, really wound it up. Meanwhile, in Derby, they're tearing the flags down, and that's Labour runs as Paul Rowbottom. You make a very good point. Yeah, they've decided that the flags are making the place look a mess. So, despite what the public think in Derby, they're ripping them down. Ben in Derby, one of my regular listeners, you might want to comment on that. From what I'm told, they look good. But the council have decreed, no, they've been up long enough. We don't want them anymore. And we've got Christmas festivities coming up. No, they didn't say that. Seasons festivities, because there'll be all the other things before they actually use the word Christmas. Because, of course, Christmas is verboten. Christmas is banned, isn't it? It's the season of Winterville. Do you remember that when Birmingham did that all those years ago? Starmer wants to stop the division with division. Unbelievable, says Denise Deacon. Denise, you can give out the pencils at the next lesson because that is a brilliant point. He thinks just by telling us, like some sort of third-rate clergyman, trendy vicar, he thinks by telling us, don't be like that we won't be like that. And he thinks he can appeal to our better nature. He doesn't know what our better nature is. We are patriotic. You hated us and our flag. You had members of your own government who slagged it off. Now we're meant to believe that Yvette Cooper wears Union Jack knickers. Well, she's got them in the garage or something, in the shed. Absolute codswallop with her useless husband. And why is he on telly? Ed Balls, he's another one, isn't he? Nikki Rayner, thank you for the video. That's okay, Nikki. Thank you for your donation. Oh, what? You haven't done one yet? Try it now. Starmer need nappy now because he's a big baby. Jay says Jackie Lord. Okay, I'll take your point. Insults equal lost the argument. Yeah, no, I wouldn't always agree with that because sometimes a good insult or a good swear word ain't a problem. But he hasn't got anything else, has he? And why does he want to keep telling us we are racist? Oh, and that they're the Progressive Party. He did admit today they've got a few things wrong, but when he admits things, he doesn't do it like a full-throated, I was an idiot, I got that completely wrong, I do apologise. I don't know. Starmer's a snake. It says starters here, Anne-Marie Binch, but I take your point. Thank you very much indeed. She says he's a snake in the grass. Elric says one of those kids Starmer pointed to in the audience had cleared racist graffiti off a wall, or perhaps pro-England statements, as the case may be. Well, I don't know what it was. All I know is using kids in the audience, and you don't know what that's just pathetic, isn't it? Nigel Farage is a true gentleman. Labour is a disgrace, says Karen Clifton. Phil Daniel, my old mate, says Fagash Lil, talking about Angela Rayner. I can feel a sing-song being created about Starmer's speech and his plastic flag waving. Yeah. Go on, Phil. You'll be in Eurovision soon, the way you're going. Jackie Ward says the whole country is in disarray. Starmer telling everyone now to fly the flag, whilst Labour councils are tearing the flags down. And as for saying Farage doesn't like this country, well, that's the biggest joke this year. Starmer is running so scared, he's completely lost the plot. Jackie, I agree with you. Yeah, he actually said Starmer's not a patriot. He's a plastic patriot, which is their latest insult. You know, and that Starmer doesn't love our country. When have you ever heard him say something positive? When he talks about the cricket, loads of times. He is positive. I just think it's nonsense. Who writes Starmer's speeches? Because they're so out of touch, aren't they? Maybe you think I'm being over the top. Let's get some other opinions. Where are we going next? Pam Millett, just like the snake in the Garden of Eden. Oh, a bit of a religious comment, thank you. John, it's more like him that doesn't like, it's more like him that doesn't like the UK. Why can't he do one to Davos? Because he loves being there. That's a good point. Thank you very much indeed, Crag. Den Spinks, Tiff Starmer can let Savile off the hook. It all makes sense as to why he's a Marxist and a terrible prime minister. Well, Dan, he never let Jimmy Savile off. That's what some people say. There's no clear evidence of that. And he does say Jimmy Savile never came across his desk. Came across plenty of others, but not his. And I believe our prime minister, don't you? Hey? I believe everything he says. I don't think he's ever told a fib. I don't think he ripped off the pensioners. I don't think he lied and bullshitted to get into power. What, you do? Oh, you cynic. That's the thing as well. Being cynical is now a negative. In other words, thou shall not criticize the supreme leader. Starmer. Joke. Oh, just on the side issue. I told you Donald Trump would sort out Israel and the terrorist scum of Hamas. Looks like he's done it, eh? Gaunty got it right again. Please don't use that word about Starmer because that's just going to get people and you and me in trouble. His name is Keir Starmer, okay? He's starting a war with Farage. Well, that bit of what you're saying, Paul, I agree with. I tried to buy you a coffee last night, but my annoying bank wouldn't let me. What do you mean they wouldn't let you? Huh? Come on, Pam, it's easy. You just get your card out and just put your number in. Try it again. But thank you, Pam, for your, at least the thought. Because as my mum used to say, it's the thought that counts. Although the fiver would be more useful. If you could buy me a coffee, www.buymeacoffee.com. Alternatively, Pam, now that we're on YouTube today, oh, you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, if you just click the little $sign, you can do it that way. Where are we going next? Fluker Tony, he's donated before and he's doing it again. He's just whacked another fiver in. Thank you very much indeed, my friend. I really appreciate it. And this will keep all this going, unless I get sent to prison. I had a dream last night that I had a knock on the door from the stormtroopers. Huh? Oh, you know what I'd do there? The classic. No comment. No comment. No comment. No comment. Let me phone my lawyer. And then I get my mate, who's a top human rights lawyer. I say, hey, come and be a gamekeeper for a day. Protect my freedom of speech. I don't know. Linda Skilsey. He's dug an even bigger hole for himself, and I just wish he'd jump in it. Nice one. That's on Facebook. Thank you very much. Johnny Roberts, another big fan, and he's donated before, and he's donating again. He's put a fiver in the hat. Thank you very much, Johnny. And he says, keep up the good work, John. I will do. Thank you. Thank you. It really is appreciated. I can't tell you. And I've told you about Lisa. She's downstairs. She's got the audit book out. It's like, you know at the beginning of Christmas Carol where Scrooge is in the study and there's no lights on. There's only a little bit of a candle. And he's got Bob Cratchit there. And he's being nasty to Bob Cratchit. It's a little bit like that with Lisa. She sits there with a quill. That sounded rude. Filling out the ledger. It's a computer, really. How many people donated today? Anyway, hopefully she'll be all right later. Where are we up to? It's 4 minutes past 7. We'll do a little bit longer. Maggie Young, another big fan. Sky Blue as well. As Logan or Roy would say, that conference was a total shit show in the shit factory. It's not Maggie. It's her husband or her fella. Andy, not Maggie. Andy, that's brilliant. Oh, didn't you love Succession? Didn't you love it? What a great program. I think he's an absolute prat when it comes to politics and when he pontificates on the political shows. Brian Cox, not the astronomer guy. Is that what he is? I mean, the actor. He's a brilliant actor. And in Succession, where he plays like the Rupert Murdoch figure, he's brilliant. Oh, talking of which, an old friend of mine, I don't know if you've watched it, it's called The Hack on Channel 5. He said, Gaunty, you didn't tell me you were back on the telly. So I messaged him back and said, I'm not. He said, you are. Did you know you're in The Hack? Well, it's The Hack is all about, it's written by the same bloke who wrote Adolescence. And he also wrote, I think it's the people who did that thing about the post office, which was brilliant. But The Hack is all about the phone hacking scandal. And evidently I'm in it. So I wrote back to Lawrence and said, where? Which episode? He says, episode 7. I said, well, that ain't been on yet. He said, no, but me and the missus have watched it. You can binge it on whatever it's on. It's on Channel 5 or ITV or something. I said, all right. I said, how long am I on for? He said, about 10 seconds. Did they ask permission? No, I think what it is they've taken a bit off me when I was on Question Time and I took the mickey out of Rebecca. And so anyway, I've not bothered sitting there all night flat. Life's too short. But I'm meant to be in it, evidently, and it's me. I'm waiting for the fee to come next. Got 2 hopes. Bob Hope and no hope, probably. But I tell you what, the portrayal of the Rupert Murdoch character, I mean, I've met him. Parts of it are kind of right. Parts of it are completely and utterly wrong. But Succession's a great, great drama. Den Spinks says he can't climb out. Climb out of what? Digital Corals has sent me £1.99 and he says, thank you, John, to the moon. And he's put 3 rockets there. Thank you very much indeed for your contribution. He's done that on YouTube by clicking the little $sign. You could do the same. The Flag makes a statement that this country, we've had enough. I think he's so right. This thing about Derby Council now saying we don't need them anymore. We're taking them down. They're kind of missing the point. It's spontaneous. It's the people they're meant to represent, the people who pay their expenses and their wages. They've put these flags up. It isn't your choice to take them down. And I think there must have been arse cheeks clanging at Labour headquarters today because Keir Starmer goes on and is doing his plastic waving flaggy bit, right? And then he finds out that Labour-controlled Derby Council is taking down all the flags in the town. So again, he looks like a prat. Evidently, they've stopped taking them down again now. The whole thing is just a joke. And I'm not bothered about the flags one way or the other. I think they look quite good, but I'm not fussed about it. It's not a hill I'm going to die on. But I just don't understand how people in power can't see you've got to treat people with respect. Starmer. Oh, that's good. Starmer, chameleon. He disappears at will. Oh, I'll tell you what, Craig, I'll get my mate Phil to write a song about that. He wrote a great song about the flags going up in Coventry. I put it out on Twitter the other day, but I'll get him to do one. Phil, are you listening? So it's Starmer Chameleon. I think that's a really good idea. Mark Spafford says Starmer is not fit to be Prime Minister. You are correct. Elrek has made loads of comments tonight, and they've all been good. He's just whacked in a £5 on YouTube. Thank you very much indeed. Nigel Farage to be Prime Minister. Well, you don't have to be bloody Mystic Meg to think that, do you, Mark? He's an absolute shoo-in. Jim Garfield. He says, I've just watched the frenzied flag waving on TV. It looked like a scene from a King Rongan, as I call him, speech with the crowd acting for their lives. So embarrassing. You're right, Jim. It was. And then if you listen to it, especially the last 26, this is what an anorak I am. If you listen to the last 26 seconds, you can clearly hear Starmer saying, keep waving the flags, which rather defeats the exercise, doesn't it? If he's had to tell them when to do it. It was just choreographed rubbish. Starmer, sue me, Starmer, after you've been sued and Lammy's been sued by Nigel. You're not a patriot. You don't love our flag. And however many times you support Arsenal. Well, they're all foreigners, aren't they? That's probably why you support them. That's a bit nasty. I apologise. But you should learn how to do that, Starmer. You make me sick. You absolutely make me sick. And if anything happens to Farage, it was when Farage got milkshake. Do you remember? And people thought that was okay. It's not okay. That kind of activity ends up with the death of David Amos, Joe Cox, and of course, in America, people like your man, Charlie Kirk. It's just awful. It's awful. Because there are nutcases. I know this. There are nutcases out there who can't take that some people have an opinion and it's different to yours. I mean, I had to go at somebody the other day and we ended up apologising to each other. But it is just politics in the end, isn't it? It's not worth killing somebody for fuck's sake. Marie Gledell says he's a traitor. Well, I'm not going to argue with you. Keep up the great work, John, says Seasider Mark. And he's bunged in £1.99. That'll be £2, but they take a bit off if you do it on Apple. So thank you for that, Seasider. Keir Starmer's Labour speech looked less like a party conference and more like the Oktoberfest of the German League with Union Jacks. All that was missing was him serving pints and lederhosen while promising change. Ooh, that's nasty. Did you hear somebody wants you to write a song about Starmer based on Karma Chameleon? John, Starmer is a fraud, yes? John, you should send them an invoice. Who? Oh, the TV company. Yeah. I was tempted. I've got to, I just said, oh, yeah. I didn't sit there flicking through to try and find myself. I nearly did, because ego's a terrible thing, isn't it? But I believe Lawrence. I've known him years and years, and I don't think it would have been very complimentary to me or to anyone. Anyway. And I've also read that it wasn't very good, the hack. I don't know, but that's what I was told. What did I want? Did you do your homework and watch the Freddie Flintoff thing? And the other thing I told you to watch was Ryland and Rob Reiner. Yeah? I haven't got any homework for you tonight. I'll be watching EastEnders for 3 minutes. If you lot would just stop sending in comments. Okay, if you want to comment again, please do it now, because I am going to go in a minute. Where's this go? Do you think today Starmer has made it worse or better? Do you think he's got any chance of being elected? Sorry to ask you rhetorical questions. Would you like to donate a $5 just before I go? If you do, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt or press the little $sign. Where is British politics now? It's in the gutter, isn't it? Oh, and by the way, I'm not doing a show tomorrow at 6:30. I'm going to see my beautiful daughter, who I haven't seen for a couple of weeks. So we're popping over to see her, but she can only make it in the evening because she works. So early evening. So I'm going to do that, but I'll try and do a show during the day if something interesting happens. Yeah? If something interesting happens. So bear that in mind. I won't be here at 6:30. However, if you've subscribed, and don't forget it's completely free, if you subscribe to Jon Gaunt TV on YouTube, you can see all the archive of my shows. So you can watch or listen or take one of those podcasts and pretend we're doing it live, right? It's free. Go to Jon Gaunt TV and just subscribe. Completely free and will always be free. That gets you into the archive. And I've got to tell you, about 110 people signed up yesterday. We're well over 5,000 on that. So thank you very, very much indeed. And we're at 1.2 million views at the moment, nearly 1.3. I would imagine after this show, it could be getting to 1.3. So thank you for that as well. I can't believe how we've come this far. I really don't. Great work, John, says Craig Urquhart. Thank you. Eric says family is important. Well, thank you for understanding that. And as I say, it was the only time she could make it. And I think I'm meeting her at 6. Yeah, something like 6 o'clock. I could have said no, but I'm sorry. I love my girls, so if I get the chance to see them, I want to see them. I've mentioned to Dominic Frisby to do a digital ID song, and he replied, I should do. That's good. He's funny, Dominic. He really is. Where are we going next? Farage is a fake. You'll be good. Somebody disagrees. You'll be the last to admit it, Gaunty. Starmer is just as bad. They all need outing. Have you met Nigel Farage? I have. many, 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 many times. I met him on the day, well, when he had his air crash. He was meant to be on my show. But I met him again after that. Well, I met him several times. I met him when he had his life threatened. It was in Blackpool. We were at some sort of conference. I walked in and he's sitting in the foyer with this big burly security guard. And he's white. I said, "What's up with you, Nigel?" He says, "I've just had a death threat." And I laughed because I was doing a bit of work for him at the time. I said, "Well, that's brilliant. We can spin that for a bit of PR." He says, "No, Gaunty, don't joke." And he was literally scared shitless, right? Whereas, you know me, I just take it all and just joke about it. So I think it would affect him. And I thought today, when he did his little speech to the camera after Starmer's speech, I thought you could hear that in his voice, in his throat. Lammy is just totally and utterly out of order. So thank you for saying that. I don't know about Starmer. I'd agree with you. But in my dealings with Farage, one, he's not a racist. I've never heard him utter a racist word or term. And two, I don't think he's fake. But you're entitled to your opinion, the Bristol Channel. John, I cannot see the dollar sign, says Paul Stentiford. Well, I don't have the same screen in front of me as you, Paul. But if you're on YouTube, I feel it's just down there. Just there. Can anyone help him? Can somebody just write the exact navigation point of where the dollar sign is? If it is, I think it's the dollar sign, and tell him what to click, because then he wants to donate some money and he can't at the moment. So somebody help him out. Jackie Ward, she's here. She's sent me her 3 usual red hearts. Thank you very much indeed. And Maggie Young, who always sends me, well, it's 5 claps. And a blue heart, because she's a sky blue like me. Thank you, Maggie. I hope it is you and not your old fellow on there. I don't want people talking. Elric says it's on the right hand of the chat. No, I didn't know that. I thought it was on the left hand. Anyway, so where you put your chats, where you put your little words, Paul, it's on the right hand side of the chat box. Okay, you got it. Right hand of chat, says JME. So does Elric, so obviously there. And even the Bristol Channel guy was slagging me off a minute ago and saying that Farage is a fake. He's playing ball as well. It says in the bottom right corner. Well, if that's the case, Bristol Channel, you can donate a few quid as well. John, thank goodness the milkshake that was thrown over Farage was an acid. I hope you and your family are well. They're brilliant, which is why I'm looking forward to seeing one of my daughters on Wednesday. The other one's not coming, it's just one of them. Anyway, that's me done. Thank you very, very much indeed. Seasider Mark says next to the smiley face on the right. What? Oh, the dollar sign. Well, I don't know what. He can't find it, this geezer, because he still has the money hasn't come through. Never mind. You can always do it on buymeacoffee.com. www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. Right, I got to go because I got to watch EastEnders with the mother-in-law. And she likes me to be there when it's on. Because the other day she said to me, "How much longer does this go on?" I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "It goes on for ages." I said, "It'll be about 8 o'clock." She said, "No, not today. The whole bloody programme." I said, "Well, it's been going 44 years." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." So there we are. Paul in Stenford says, "We'll do Friday." Oh, okay. You were just teasing. And Maggie, going back to her, says, "What's your prediction? City against Millwall tomorrow?" Says Maggie. Well, we need to win, but I'll settle for a draw. But we're getting too many draws at the moment, apart from when we thrashed the Brummies. But be a hard game, Maggie, down at the Den. Is it called the New Den now? Just means a different porter cabin. Oh, a shithole that place is. Although, when I was on BBC London, I had loads of Millwall fans who used to listen to me. And of course, Danny Baker. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't talk. Well, that must have been BBC London. When I was on BBC London, so I haven't got a problem. My favourite London club, I think, is QPR. Stan Bowles. It's weird, isn't it, how you can have a favourite club like that? No, I don't mean I followed them. There's only one team for me, Coventry. But there are sometimes teams. Oh, no, West Ham as well. Alvin Martin. and Frankie Lampard Senior. Well, they were always on Sports Night, weren't they? It was always raining. Greasy lag hair. Do you remember? Brilliant. Brilliant. I watched Match of the Day the other night. She's doing all right, isn't she? I worked with her as well at Talk Sport. A lovely woman. Kenny's daughter. Don't know what her name is now. What's her first name? Kenny Dalglish's daughter. No, it's gone. It'll come back. Anyway, got to go. Got to rush. Lovely talking to you. And I just think, hopefully, he's now signed his metaphorical death warrant. He's not going to get elected because he keeps insulting people. I think he thinks as well there's all these people in the country who are like them in their little Westminster bubble, their Islington bubble. People are really hurting. The real people are hurting. He did make a joke out of himself today about his dad, which I'll give you. Anyway, Maggie, before you go, 2-1 to the City. 2-1 to the City, says Gaunty. See you tomorrow sometime during the day, probably. If not, I'll be back on Thursday night at 6:30. Until we meet again, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. And thank you to everybody who's donated already today or might donate later on www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. Thanks a lot. See you later. Bye.